Here we go. Yep, we're in the final hour of the January transfer window, and so plenty of deals bubbling under. Michy Batshuayi looks set to be on the move to Crystal Palace indeed, and Everton are standing firm right now on Idrissa Gueye. But anything can happen in the next 59 minutes, folks.
Yes, we are here with Sam Allardyce and Alan Smith as well, who join us in the studio as 11 o'clock looms. And 12 o'clock, of course, in Scotland. And we'll bring you their insight throughout the hour.
Our reporters are still all across the country, and believe me, they are braving the elements tonight because it's deadline day and there will be late drama. In fact, in this hectic final hour, there is late drama. It involves Michy Batshuayi. So first of all, let's get the Chelsea side of things with Kaveh Solika. What's happened, Kaveh?
Yes, lots of late drama this evening. Basically, today, Chelsea have been trying to sort out a loan move for Michy Batshuayi. He's a striker they signed 2.5 years ago for £33 million from Marseille. Things haven't really worked out. He's been on loan to Borussia Dortmund. He's also been on loan to Valencia. Now, basically, today, it was shaping up to be whether he was going to go to West Ham on loan, whether he was going to go to Spurs. I don't think Spurs really seriously ever wanted him, but his representatives were trying to get him a move to Spurs. Michy Batshuayi himself wanted to go to Spurs, but Spurs not really very keen, and Chelsea didn't want to do business with a rival. But about 20 minutes ago, I got a phone call from somebody who's involved in the deal, and they told me this: Crystal Palace have agreed terms with him. He is going to go to Crystal Palace. That is what they told me. I asked whether it was a permanent deal. He said to me that Chelsea would prefer it to be a permanent deal, but at the moment it looks like it is going to be a loan deal. I just got another phone call from them as well, and they said to me, look, West Ham were pushing very, very hard to get him as well. I know there was lots of talk about the fact that his representatives were asking for £160,000 a week, and West Ham weren't willing to pay that. But I think the problem for West Ham is that, yes, they did want Michy Batshuayi, but at the end of the day, they needed to move out one of their own strikers, Lucas Perez or Javier Hernandez, and they haven't been able to do that. I was told that if one of those two players had left West Ham, then West Ham would have come in hard for Michy Batshuayi. But that did not happen. That is why Crystal Palace have agreed terms with Michy Batshuayi.
Right, Kaveh, thank you. OK, so that's the Chelsea end. Let's get the Crystal Palace end now, because Michael Bridge said nothing excites Michael Bridge more than late drama on deadline day at Crystal Palace. So what's been said that end, Michael?
Oh, Tom, Batman returns. Yes, he's very close to agreeing a loan move to Crystal Palace. They're all locked up here. We were ready to go. I was ready to go into my hotel just round the corner from here, ready for bed. Palace were done. No deals today until Steve Parish had an offer he couldn't refuse. And that is a striker who's got a good reputation here in England. He's had offers, he's had interest, but he is coming to, it looks like he's coming to Crystal Palace. I'm in dialogue with Crystal Palace now throughout the night. They were going to bed. They're not now. No one's here is going to bed because there's still stuff to do. But I do understand from Crystal Palace, they tell me, regardless of Chelsea wanting a permanent, they will get him on loan. They've got this second loan because they wanted Dominic Solanke at first at the start of January. That didn't happen. He went to Bournemouth on a permanent deal. They had this one Premier League loan left. And what a loan this could be. He scores goals. He scores goals in the Premier League. And this could be the player that pushes Crystal Palace away more into mid-table. And don't forget, they've got an FA Cup run too. They've got Doncaster away. So it's wide open in the FA Cup as well. So it could be an exciting second half of the season for Crystal Palace. I'm going to be speaking to Crystal Palace now about more on that deal because they've just got it as well. This is really hot off the press. We're not going anywhere.
Good, and neither are we. And there's going to be more breaking news this hour, I can assure you. All right, flash poll we're doing. It's only open for 10 minutes. It's very simple. All right, that deal was done quickly. This is being done as quickly as well. Is joining Crystal Palace the right move for Michy Batshuayi? Simply yes or no. Go to @Sky Sports News to vote. We're actually going to bring you a result of this flash poll in 10 minutes' time.
Right, the big breaking news comes from Fulham, and to tell us all about it, Jamie Weir.
Yes, thank you, Haley. This is one we've been telling you about throughout the day. Havard, Nordtveit, Norwegian international. West Ham fans may remember him. He spent a season there a couple of seasons ago. So a bit part player. 16 appearances, I think, for West Ham over the course of that season. Some very studious Arsenal fans may remember him as well, because he was scouted by Arsene Wenger himself as a very young player and brought to Arsenal. He never made any first-team appearances for them, alas. But he has joined Fulham now on loan until the end of the season. A central defender, stroke defensive midfielder. Some quotes from Fulham as well. That's what he's had to say. The Fulham, he says, I'm really happy to have the opportunity to come back to the Premier League and hopefully help Fulham to a safe place. That would be something that I would put high on the list in my career. Here's a little something to get Fulham fans excited. The situation Fulham are in now is more or less the same situation as Borussia Mönchengladbach were in when I went to them from Arsenal. They were down at the bottom of the table, a much worse situation. 8 points from safety, and we made it. So there you go, Fulham fans. Reason to perhaps feel optimistic. And Tony Khan has also added, Havard is a talented defender. He's versatile and intelligent, has extensive international and top-tier league experience, and he comes recommended as an excellent teammate. And that is the sort of person that Claudio Ranieri has been talking about during this transfer window, somebody with character and leadership skills who can drag Fulham out of the situation that they find themselves in now. The lights are still on behind me. The media team are still here. And I can tell you, Fulham fans, that there may well still be one more deal to be done in the next 55 minutes or so. But they have got one deal done. Havard Nordtveit has joined Fulham.
Jimmy, well done with that. And they've done well, Fulham. Congratulations to Tony Khan. He's in, Nordtveit's in, and maybe one more to go. 52 minutes to go and counting. So the countdown very much on. We're getting towards the deadline now of 11 o'clock. The future of Idrissa Gueye very much under discussion throughout the entire month. Is he going to leave Everton? Is he going to head to PSG? Is he going to join Neymar and co over there? Fraser Dainton is at Everton's training ground. And Fraser, where are we now? We're getting on 10 past 10. What's the latest on Gueye as you know it?
Yeah, something of a transfer tug-of-war going on between Paris Saint-Germain and Everton, with Idrissa Gueye, the man firmly in the middle. In the last hour, we heard that Paris Saint-Germain had increased their initial bid. They'd upped it to €30 million. So that's, just £21.5 million to about £25.5 million. Almost immediately after that, we understand it was rejected by Everton. Out of hand, no dice. They've been steadfast and firm on that decision all the way through this transfer window, saying that the player is not for sale. So, with, as you say, just over 50 minutes left, will Paris Saint-Germain come back with another offer? The ball is firmly in their court, and even if it does come in, will it make any difference to them? Because they have steadfastly refused to entertain the idea of Idrissa Gueye leaving, despite the fact that we understand the player himself is very, very upset and disappointed that the idea of a dream move to Paris Saint-Germain isn't happening. So, time ticking. We'll see what happens.
Yes, thank you very much. Going to get Alan Smith's thoughts on that. You can understand perhaps why he would want to go, but you, I'm guessing, having watched him so often, can understand why they don't want to let him go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for him, it would have been a healthy hike in his wages, I'm sure, and it's a big club, PSG. But you're right. I mean, he's been so important to Everton in the middle of the park, with the way he gets about the pitch, gets his foot in. And Everton, the way they've been of late, you know, they can't afford to be letting those kind of players go. They've been struggling, the fans haven't been happy. So to see them release, they might still sell for, you know, an increased offer, but to see a player like that leave the club wouldn't go down too well at all with the Toffees fans. So Everton will be keen to keep hold.
Yeah, especially when there's not much time to replace him with anybody either.
No, exactly, yeah. And that kind of player, there's not too many about. He obviously knows what the Premier League is all about. He's a fit boy. He does what it says on the tin. He's not overly ambitious. He wins it. He gives the simple pass. But it's worked for him and it's worked for Everton in the past.
The thing of it is, Alan, and Sam, I'm sure you'll agree with me now, do you want to be left with a player who's maybe not that happy still to be there? As we were saying, his head probably has been turned by this.
I wouldn't like to see him tomorrow in training.
No.
Because I think you've lost him. I think you'll have lost him for a while. He's probably professional enough to get over it. I think all the players are, all the players in the end are. But this is a move of a lifetime probably never be repeated.
Yeah.
For this lad to go to such a big
Well,
club.
what is he? He's late 20s, isn't he?
He is, and of course, just a £7 million bid buy, I think, from Aston Villa when they got relegated by Steve Walsh, and I think that it proved his worth that somebody like PSG have made such a big bid. I have a different take to Alan, and for me, the one thing Everton has been lacking when I was there, and still is, I feel, is a replacement for Lukaku, and 30 million euros would go a long way to funding another centre forward with a top up on top of that, which would ease the burden on Everton's spending, because it's been massive in the last 2 years.
It's hard
So you
getting
might
that
use
kind
that
of
30
player,
million.
though, isn't it?
Alan, we're moving along because the countdown well and truly is on. Let's go to Tom. Tom, what have you got?
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go to Tottenham, because they haven't been very active in recent transfer windows, have they? Well, they've only got 48 minutes left to be active in this window. Paul Gilmore, any chance?
Tom, good evening. Deadline day, or Thursday as Tottenham like to call it, is about to end for the second consecutive window without Tottenham making a signing. And there's no panic here. Let me just explain to you why and put a bit of context on this. We've been reporting throughout the month that there was some money available for the right player or the right deal. And let's talk about Michy Batshuayi. He's somebody who fell into that category of not quite the right deal. We've been hearing from Cave. He was offered to Tottenham by his camp, and he was interested, we're told, in a move to Spurs. An £8 million loan fee was mentioned, and I'm told that's a higher figure than perhaps that was offered to some other clubs. Chelsea, of course, did not want to do business with Tottenham. They did not want to strengthen a top four rival. So where does that leave Tottenham going into the second half of this season? Pochettino, the manager, did say this week that they were unlikely to bring anyone in, and they also said they wouldn't panic because they have faith in the squad that they have at the moment. So, for example, even though Harry Kane and Dele Alli are injured, they now have Heung-min Son back, who can play in that forward role. Llorente scoring some goals as well. And in the midfield area, the reason they haven't brought the right player in, because that right player didn't become available in midfield, it's because they have a lot of faith in someone like Oliver Skipp and Victor Wanyama coming back to full fitness. So that's the message we're hearing. That's why they're not panicking. But it does look like Tottenham are going to end a second consecutive window and remain. It continues to remain that they've only brought in 2 players in a January window under Maurizio Pochettino. Dele Alli from MK Dons, and he was loaned back, and then Lucas Moura as well.
Paul, thanks very much indeed. We're just having a debate about this, and we'll have it with you now, because it's a bit of an unwelcome... Well, is it an unwelcome record? Alan Smith, what do you make of this? Tottenham have just become the first Premier League club in history who haven't signed anyone in back-to-back transfer windows. Should they worry? They've got 54 points, as Sam was saying.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 points off Manchester City, who are seen as title challengers, seen as one of the best teams in Europe. Look set for another top 4 finish, probably third. The one area of the pitch with Harry Kane injured is, can we get a replacement in? They tried it with Vincent Janssen, that didn't work. Llorente's come into it. Spurs fans have been on his back, but he's produced a couple of goals recently, some important strikes as well. It's difficult. You look at other areas of the pitch and they've pretty much got cover in most positions. So they're not spending money for the sake of it. And it's their best ever Premier League start. They've never had this many points at this stage before, so there's not a whole lot wrong.
You can't find a frontman, Alan, in the Premier League, in the world of football, for Tottenham to bring in. Where can you find a frontman? I mean, Chelsea bring in a lone striker, Higuain, who's 32, and you don't know whether he'd work at this stage of the season. So they're looking at the situation, saying who is available.
Yeah, and also somebody who's not going to be playing every week, really.
Not playing every week, and how much would he cost? I mean, if Tottenham's going to improve their side, in today's market, it's hitting the 80 million, 90 million mark, not the 30 or 20 million, unless they're signing a very promising young player who's going to make the grade, which Tottenham are very good at. But at the moment, if they're going to go big in terms of getting somebody as good or equal to Harry Kane, you're talking 80, 90, 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, they've been unfortunate because Heung-min Son, got called away to the Asian Cup, and he can fill in there in a different way to Kane. But the fact that both were missing and Dele Alli out, it hit them particularly hard. But
having the best start they've ever had, is unbelievable for me, and the amount of criticism they're getting just because they haven't signed players again. Why do they need? If they don't need a player, why sign one? You don't sign a player for the sake of it, and it's pretty brave that Maurizio and Daniel Levy actually stand up for that and saying our squad is good enough and big enough, and for them, if they've had the best start ever to this season, where they might finish. It would take a big slip up now from Liverpool, obviously, to lose the title to anybody. But Tottenham could have a fantastic season even now, and 54 points at this stage of the season.
And their wage bill, Sam, is minuscule almost compared with a lot of the competitors. Certainly Manchester City. I think it was released the figures
I agree.
tonight.
I agree.
And maybe you look across town at Arsenal, and they can't bring any players in. The wage bills, full to overflowing almost. It's not an ideal situation to be in.
Man United not bringing anybody in. Chelsea's not bringing anybody in. I mean, the sign of the times are written that the expense of a player now means that it's limiting the amount of signings clubs can make now because of the cost, and the value of the cost means that when you are a manager and you are putting your name and you're signing off on that player, you have to be absolutely 110% certain now that he's going to make the grade, because if he doesn't, you can't offload that player.
Okay.
Very difficult.
Well, you two are quite happy then for Tottenham tonight. Why should they sign anyone? For the sake of it, as you say, Sam. OK.
I don't want to upset the Tottenham fans because they probably want to say, why don't you shut up, Sam, because we should sign somebody. But honestly, I think they're having a fantastic season.
Don't worry about that.
He's not going to Tottenham, but time is ticking down to see if he will make his move and finalise things at Crystal Palace. We think that they have agreed terms. I'll tell you all the details next.
Shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Brom's got a new golfing start. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor!
Bang, bang. He shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down. Shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Brom's got a new golfing start. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor!
Bang, bang. He shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down.
minutes ago when we opened a poll, a flash poll. It was only open for 10 minutes, and it simply said, is joining Crystal Palace the right move for Michy Batshuayi? There was a yes or a no. In that 10 minutes, there were over 20,000 votes. I can tell you, of those 20,000 votes, 73 of you believe this is the right move for Michy Batshuayi. OK, he was linked with, well, loads of clubs from outside of England, with Tottenham as well. But it looks like he's on his way to Crystal Palace. And over 20,000 votes here saying that Michy Batshuayi, 73%, it's the right move for him. And we'll keep you right up to date because there's not long to go until that deadline at 11.
I'm hearing that Keith Downey could well be snowed in at Newcastle. Now, I'm just wondering if he wants it out there because he's not going to be in doing his job tomorrow morning. I'm not too sure. The snow is pretty bad up in the northeast. A big signing at Burnley this evening. A big signing in more ways than one because Premier League veteran Peter Crouch has gone. Sorry, Alan, I couldn't find you there in this huge studio. Peter Crouch has signed for Burnley. Alan Myers has got the story. You're there. I see you there. I see you here on this huge screen. That's a giveaway, isn't it? So tell us about Crouchy.
Yes, definitely. Well, listen, Jim, there's been some strange deals done today. There's been some interesting ones. Even in the last hour or so now, we're seeing interesting ones come in. I think one of the most interesting deals is this one today at Turf Moor, when we saw Sam Vokes, 29-year-old Sam Vokes, go out to Stoke, and we saw 38-year-old Peter Crouch come here. It's an interesting one because of his age, of course, but what can he bring to Burnley? What can he give Sean Dyche in the remainder of this season? Well, let's hear from the man himself, who tells us why.
I feel like the older I get, the more even more hungry I get, because you can sort of see the end, or you know, with your age. And you know, I still feel fit. I train every single day. You know, I don't do anything that I do everything the lads do, and I want to be involved in every single game. My injury record's been very good, touch wood. So yeah, I'm hungry, and I've got a will to succeed and hopefully prove people wrong. I feel like I've been proving people wrong my whole career, so you know, that won't change, and I still love it. And the moment I stop enjoying it is the moment to knock it on the head. So I'll be doing as well as I can this year, and who knows after that.
Well, he certainly will bring experience to the Burnley dressing room, which they may well need in a tough second part of the season. A man who played against Sean Dyche, the manager, in his career, don't forget. But interesting on that one, that the deal that saw Sam Vokes, it's an undisclosed fee, that part of it, but we're told that the Peter Crouch deal was completely separate, and he's come almost on free to the end of the season.
Right, breaking news. Now, I know if you try something and fail, you might try again. You might try a third time, then you'd probably give up. You're unlikely to go back for a fourth time. Surely you wouldn't go for a fifth time. Well, I'll tell you what, you'd be wrong, because it's sixth time lucky for Sunderland tonight. They finally had an offer accepted for Will Grigg from Wigan. It's taken 6 attempts. We understand the fee is around about £1.5 million. They've been trying to get this one done for weeks, and with just over half an hour left, it looks like their patience has paid off. We'll keep you up to date, but it looks like Will Grigg is moving to the Stadium of Light.
There you go, Tom. So if at first you don't succeed, try, and try again. Well done, Sunderland. They've got Will Grigg through the door. I tell you what, arguably one of the happiest managers in the Premier League tonight, I would have thought, would be Claude Puel at Leicester. And Kirsty's going to tell us more, because through the door earlier today came Yuri Tillemans. Kirsty, if you're still capable of speech in that desperate cold, tell us more.
I'm not sure I am. I'll try and get my words out. But you're talking about trying again just previously there with Sunderland. Well, the Leicester fans had to be a little bit patient today. They had to wait till 8 o'clock this evening for that official confirmation of Yuri Tillemans joining the club. This is a 21-year-old Belgium international midfielder, part of their World Cup squad last summer. He joins on loan for the rest of the season from Monaco. He's actually scored 5 goals for Monaco in 20 league appearances this season. But so it's interesting why he was allowed to move. Now, Leonardo Jardim it seems that he fell out of favour with him when he was previously Monaco boss, and since he's taken back over at the club, I think it alerted a lot of other clubs to his potential availability. A lot of Premier League clubs showing interest, but it is Leicester City who have got their man. It's a swap deal with Adrien Silva going over to Monaco in the opposite direction. He's really struggled at Leicester, only made one Premier League start this season. So yeah, a big deal for Leicester City. We could see something else happening this evening, a departure. We're just waiting for confirmation to see whether Andy King has managed to get this loan deal with Derby County. He's been there for talks, had a medical, so we're waiting on that one. But yes, a cold night here. I'm not sure if any of the other reporters have mentioned that today.
Oh, in this lovely, cosy studio with the bright yellow lights. It's great, isn't it? Not so, of course, as we saw with Kirsty there and the reporters, none more so than Keith Downey up there in Newcastle. It looks about -10, goodness me. A little bit more salt and pepper there on you, Keith Downey. I don't think anyone looks colder than you this evening. Things have certainly been hot at Newcastle United as far as the transfers breaking, of course, their record transfer. Are we expecting anything else to happen, though?
Let me tell you, first of all, Hayley, this is warm for Newcastle. Positively balmy right now compared to the -7 when I turned up first thing this morning. In terms of transfers, though, it's been a great day, as you say. Mikel Almiron arriving, club record transfer, £21 million from Atlanta United. He spent the day at the training ground meeting the manager and the players for the very first time. It's a deal that the Newcastle supporters have wanted for so long. To break that club record transfer that stood for some 14 years. Michael Owen away back in 2005, but today it's Mikel Almiron that takes that title. This was me speaking to him earlier on this afternoon, just after he signed that deal.
Well, it happened really quick. I'm really happy to be here. I'm very anxious to get going.
Newcastle have wanted you, Rafa Benitez has wanted you for the entire transfer window. Were you worried at any stage that it might not happen, it was getting too late?
I wasn't thinking about a lot. I'm just, again, really happy and honoured that Rafa Benitez and the club wanted me at the first place.
How does it feel to be Newcastle's record signing? Michael Owen, 14 years ago, was their last signing. Now it's you. How good does that feel?
Very happy to be here. I just want to work together with the manager, and I don't really think about the numbers. It's not my thing.
So that's Almiron in, £21 million. Newcastle also today added the Monaco left-back Antonio Barreca, a loan until the end of the season. I have to say, I feel that's Newcastle's business for this window down. Not long to go. They could yet do a last-minute deal, but I get the impression that's it done. Rafa Benitez left an hour and a half ago. He's been a busy man here all day, but he looks a happy one.
Keith, well done. Go and thaw out, my friend. Bitterly cold up there in the northeast. So, what are we talking about now? Sam, Alan, Hayley, just half an hour to go until we hit the deadline, and Palace are up against it. Are they going to get Michy Batshuayi through the door before we get to 11 o'clock? Michael Bridges down there, he's getting very excited. He's keeping himself warm, but he is pretty confident that this will be a deal that will get done. When it is, we'll tell you first. Stay with us. Half an hour to go.
shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star, Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang, just for me the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor!
Bang, bang, he shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot shut me down. Oh, shut me down, shut me down, 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 down. Bang, bang, I shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star, Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor!
Bang, bang, he shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shut me down. Oh, shut me down, shut me down, 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 down.
Yeah, OK, still to come on deadline day. This one looks set to go down to the wire. It's our understanding Crystal Palace have agreed a loan deal with Chelsea for striker Michy Batshuayi. And in the last hour, Sky Source have told us that Everton have rejected a new £26.2 million deal from PSG, for midfielder Idrissa Gueye.
Sky Sports News in 60 seconds, sponsored by Tag Heuer.
Let's bring you a with all the latest headlines on this deadline day. And after 14 long years, Newcastle have finally broken their club record with the addition of Miguel Almiron. He's joined from MLS side Atlanta United for a fee of £21 million. Not the only done deal at Newcastle. Monaco fullback Antonio Barreca has also joined the club on loan until the end of the season with an option to buy. Leicester have also invested in Monaco with midfielder Yuri Tielemans joining until the end of the season. Adrian Silva moves in the opposite direction as part of the deal. Wolves have equalled their club record transfer fee with an £18 million addition of Johnny. The wing-back was already on loan at Molineux from Atletico Madrid. Peter Crouch back in the Premier League, 38 years old. He's joined Burnley until the end of the season with Sam Vokes heading to Stoke as part of the deal. And it may not be transfer news, but great news for Manchester United on deadline day as Anthony Martial signs a new deal at Old Trafford until 2024 with the option to extend it by a further year. Don't forget, our social report, in case you missed it, is available on Sky Sports Facebook and Twitter.
Sky Sports News in 60 seconds, sponsored by Tag Heuer.
So Arsenal, as we know, got their man Denis Suarez from Barcelona. Gareth Hughes is at the Emirates. Do you expect anything else to happen in, 24 minutes left, Gareth?
You wouldn't put it past Arsenal. They've done it in the past, but I think we're pretty much there. It's one in, one out as far as Arsenal are concerned. And you mentioned the in there, Denis Suarez coming on loan now for the rest of the season. I think from Arsenal's point of view, it's going to make an awful lot of sense. Suarez and Unai Emery know one another. They worked together in Spain at Sevilla 4 seasons ago. He's 25. He's an attacking midfielder. He plays the kind of football that Emery wants, and Suarez knows what Unai Emery expects of him as well. So
He's going to wear the number 22 shirts, eligible for this weekend's game as well. In terms of the player that's gone out, it's just that one player, the exciting teenager. Don't worry, Arsenal fans, it's just about getting experience for Emil Smith-Rowe. He's gone to RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga on loan for the rest of the season, but he's very much part of the future plans here at Arsenal. So one in, one out at Arsenal.
Geraint, thank you very much indeed. Back here in studio and with Sam, Alan and Hayley. Alan Smith, your beloved Arsenal, Denis Suarez, where's he going to fit in? Is he going to be a starter?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, he can play a number of positions. I think maybe left side midfield he prefers. He's not I don't think he's an out-and-out winger. We saw him at Manchester City when he was a youngster. He looks to me as if he's going to be a squad player. As I say, somebody that can play left, right, do a job for the team, but probably from the bench more often than not. I mean, you know, it's not going to get Arsenal fans too excited, but they knew the situation, not much money at all to spend until maybe the summer, and at the moment that's all they can do.
Arsenal fans haven't been overly excited about events in this window, have they, Sam? They felt that the top brass could have given Unai Emery some more funds just to prop them up in the middle of this season. But Emery's been playing it down. No, everything's fine, I'll make do with what I've got.
Well, Jim, I think I said it before. I think that just a few minutes ago, I think fans will have to get used to not demanding that football clubs make lots of signings in every window, because you simply just can't afford it. It's just far too expensive. If you're going to sign one player and you're going to sign a 5-year contract, you're talking hundreds of millions of pounds now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, there's not endless budgets, even though we've got massive amounts from Sky money and all over the world like we've never had before. It's a massive drain, just one player today at 80, 90, 100 million, and wages to boot, and 350,000 a week. So fans will have to get used to the clubs and managers working on the fact that one or maximum 2 players would have to be enough, because that would send the budget, you know, or spend that budget for that particular year for that football club. I mean, even a Man United and even an Arsenal or Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool have gone for it this time round. I'm not so sure they'll go for it next time round, because, you know, everybody does the budgets today, and most of the owners in the game today are in it for not just for the football, but they're in it for the profit.
Yeah.
I mean, just going back to the Arsenal situation, obviously their wage bill is pretty much at the limit. I mean, Suarez, with Ramsey going out, Suarez can come in and maybe do a similar sort of position, but the idea, the place that they really did need strengthening was in defence, Arsenal, and there seems to be a bit of a power grab behind the scenes with Sven Mislintat moving out of the club, and he brought in some good players in Guendouzi and Torreira, and so I think until that settles down, you're not going to maybe get a policy where everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet.
Guendouzi is one of the finds of the season, Alan, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's a young lad. I was watching him against Cardiff on Tuesday. Always positive, always looking to play the ball forward. He hardly passes it sideways or backwards, and for a young boy to always be demanding the ball, he's got a lot of courage.
It reminds me of young Fabregas when he first came. Like, I mean, that's
high praise indeed.
Arsenal fans tell me, Alan, that Kroenke's got his mind on Super Bowl, because he wants the Rams to be successful.
Well, that's Sunday, isn't it?
It's Sunday.
He's not got his mind on the Gunners, has he?
Well, if you want one of the teams,
I'll stay up all night and watch it. What's up with you?
OK, Sam, Alan, for the moment, thank you. Tom, what's going on?
Right, OK, now earlier on, remember we showed you this picture of Jacob Murphy signing on loan for West Brom, and I mentioned that his agent there, Marcus, I know him well, good friend of mine, he didn't give me the exclusive. He's apologised by sending us a video that they've made especially of the day today with Jacob Murphy signing for West Brom, so we'll show that for you now.
This is exclusive. Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up. Shorty, what you want, shorty, what you need. My niggas run the game, we ain't never leave. Counting up this money, we ain't never sleep. You got V12, I got 12 V's. Got bottles, got weed, got molly. I'm all the way up. Shorty, what you want, I got what you need. Shorty, what you want, I got what you need. Shorty, what you
Lots of feet tapping around the newsroom while that was going on. So Jacob Murphy signed for West Brom. So that's in the Championship, by the way. You should have seen Jim White and Sam Allardyce dancing to that. It was absolutely fantastic. And the other bit of news from the EFL to bring you that's come in just now from League One is that Sunderland have agreed a deal for Will Grigg from Wigan. They're trying to get it over the line. But by the way, they've been linked with 7 strikers today at least. James Norwood was the latest from Tranmere. He was in great form, isn't he? Tom Eve, Sam Surridge, Keziah Sterling, John Marquise, Matt McNulty and Kiefer Moore. Sterling signed, and so has Will Grigg.
Sam enjoyed that music, I'll tell you. We all enjoyed that music. I like that, Tom. That was good. Where are we? 18 and a half minutes to go until we hit the deadline. Come over here. Check out James Cooper up in the northwest. Look at that. James, you've done well, my friend. I would hazard you've got about 15 layers on now, mate. And that tea cosy in your nut.
Yeah, are you going to mention how warm it is in the studio again? Why not try that?
Well, it's warm enough for us, I have to say. James, you have done all the reporters around the country today have done it extremely well, I have to say. If you can bear it, get through this live with me. Tell me about Martial, because he's signed this contract extension, and this is as good as a new signing for Solskjaer, I think.
No, I think you're right, in all seriousness. And it has been hard watching a security guard, a cameraman and a producer all wearing hats, gloves and coats all day, so I thought best to join them. But you're right, for Manchester United, it is like a new signing. If you look at the kind of logistics of this, they signed Martial as the world's most expensive teenage player for around 50 million, all things included. So you're looking to spend that again on someone of that pedigree, maybe a bit more, and then you're hoping that he settles in at Manchester United. Well, they know this player settles in. They know he's playing at the moment some of the best football he has since joining the club back in 2015. He's happy. He's talking about family at Manchester United, and he's talking about going to the next level under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. All these things, I guess, suggesting that Solskjaer is the man that's transforming Manchester United. But you can't help thinking, here they've got a player that maybe hasn't reached his potential quite yet, has signed off for the next 5 years with an option of another year, and that's Anthony Martial in his prime. And every manager you talk to, whether it's Jose Mourinho, who decided he was surplus to requirements, whether it's Louis van Gaal or David Moyes, or of course Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now, says that Anthony Martial is a player of some ability. If you can get that player of that ability for Manchester United, then I think you're right, it's a no-brainer. And I think a big thank you to Manchester United. They had 2 deals that were completely non-time dependent. In Martial, of course, with a new deal, and Fellaini leaving to go to China. Well, they did both of those deals. I'd like to think it's because of us on transfer deadline day.
Fantastic. Well done, James. Sky would like to talk to you about a part in the next series of Fortitude. Well done with that, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you're so warm.
That we are. The clock is ticking. 60 minutes to get the deals over the line. It's been the talk, hasn't it, of the country. Deal or no deal for the clubs. We'll have a roundup next.
Shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Britain's got a new golfing star. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor!
Bang, bang. He shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Oh, shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down. shut you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. I used to shoot you down.
Wasps are your Vitality Netball Super League champions.
Brom's got a new golfing start. Georgia Hall, major champion.
Music played and people sang. Just for me, the church bells rang.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Katie Taylor!
Bang, bang, he shot me down, bang, bang. I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang. My baby shot me down. Oh, shot me down. Shot me down, 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 down.
We're getting there, aren't we? Not long to go now. We have 12 minutes and 40-odd seconds until we get to the deadline, and this January transfer window will be closed. It's been a long old day, hasn't it? I began my day with Chris Evans. I'm finishing it with Michael Bridge. No bad thing, that. Michael's down at Crystal Palace. And Mike, I tell you what, there's been the odd twist and turn. You've been right in the thick of it. But Batshuayi, is it happening?
Well, Jim, for Crystal Palace fans, very hopeful that it does happen, but time is running out. Batshuayi, I understand, is still in Spain. Obviously, he's had his loan with Valencia terminated. So it is all against the clock here at the moment. I have spoken to Steve Parish. He is hopeful. But as I said earlier, it just came completely out of the blue here. Batshuayi was wanted by a number of London clubs. And all of a sudden, Palace were given this opportunity very late in the window to get this opportunity to get him on loan, to strengthen their front line. I'm speaking to Crystal Palace constantly, so Palace fans, don't go away. This deal is still to be done. Hopeful, Palace, hopeful, but not done yet.
My apologies, an uncensored video that went out there with some bad language earlier on. Apologies for that. Let's get the Chelsea side of this deal now, because Kaveh Solikul is outside Stamford Bridge for us. Kaveh.
Yes, Chelsea are very pleased with how the window has gone so far. Of course, they got in Christian Pulisic, who's coming in the summer. They also managed to get Gonzalo Higuain. So what they were trying to do today is find a club for Michy Batshuayi. He'd been on loan at Borussia Dortmund. He'd been on loan at Valencia. They needed to find another club for him. West Ham, they were in for him. Also Real Betis. At lunchtime, Batshuayi's representatives were trying to push him towards Spurs, but Spurs didn't really want him. Also, Chelsea didn't want to do a deal with Spurs, their local rivals. Then very, very late in the evening, we brought you the news that Crystal Palace had agreed terms with him. Chelsea confident that that deal can be done. And when it's done, it will end up being a very, very good window as far as Chelsea are concerned. They did the business they needed to do. They got in Pulisic, they got in Higuain, and they managed to find a new club for Michy Batshuayi.
Gavi, well done. Pretty chilly down at Stamford Bridge, isn't it? Let's head from there to Leicester. Kirsty, you've been doing a great job. Kirsty Edwards has been there all day and all evening and all night for us. Claude Puel got his man, Yuri Tielemans. From what I see, Kirsty, the news you brought us earlier has gone down very well with the Leicester City fans.
I think so, and as you say, Claude Puel, this is somebody he was really working hard to bring here to Leicester City. This is a 21-year-old Belgian international. He's very experienced though for his age. He was part of their World Cup squad in the summer. Scored 5 goals for Monaco this season in his 20 league appearances. This is a swap deal. It sees Adrien Silva going out in the opposite direction. Only made 1 Premier League start for Leicester this season. One of the deal just going through. Confirmation that Andy King is going out on loan for the rest of the season to Derby County.
Right, OK, what about Liverpool? You can see Vinny O'Connor's there for us. Anything there for us, Vinny?
Well, one player staying where he is Ben Woodburn. A loan move had been talked about with Hull linked, but that hasn't materialised. Pedro Chirivella, on the other hand, has sealed a late loan move to Extremadura in the second tier of Spanish football. Earlier today, 19-year-old Liam Miller went to Kilmarnock on loan. That was after signing a new long-term contract with Liverpool, while 21-year-old Matty Virtue has joined Blackpool on a permanent deal. As for incomings, it's a case of, as you were, Liverpool will address their options up front in the summer. That's when Daniel Sturridge's contract runs out, and now Jurgen Klopp will put his faith in the players who've established a 5-point advantage over Manchester City at the top of the table to deliver Liverpool's first league title since 1990.
We've got to congratulate Rob Dorsett on his powers of persuasion for Wolves, letting him through the door, cosy and nice inside there. But tell us what's been happening with you, Rob.
Hayley, we're in from the cold. We're inside the reception area at the training ground where it's very quiet, but that's because Wolves did their work early this morning, around 10 a.m. They spent £18 million, which is very close to their club record, for Johnny Otto. He's been on loan this season already, but that's a permanent deal from Atletico Madrid. They thought they'd got the Iranian Messi as well, the man called Sada Azmoun from Rubin Kazan, but they couldn't agree on a clause of whether he would be bought in the summer. Wolves wanted him on loan. And also, they made nearly £2 million out of the deal that took Sam Vokes from Burnley to Stoke. So all in all, Wolves think they've had a pretty good day.
Rob, thanks very much indeed. So, 7.5 minutes to go. Are Palace going to get Batshuayi over the line? Crystal Palace set to sign Michy Batshuayi. Mike Bridges down there at the moment. From there, let's go to West Ham and a man sitting on a desk at a very jaunty angle. And it's Aidan McGee.
Yeah, I'll try and straighten myself up, Jim. But yeah, not the flurry of activity West Ham fans might have been expecting today. We know about Michy Batshuayi going to Crystal Palace. There was interest from West Ham earlier in the day. Wages proved a stumbling block. Maxi Gomez is one they'll revisit back in the, or later in the summer. They looks like they'll get him at a slight discount, around £40 million from Celta Vigo, but he stays there for now. Reece Oxford goes on loan to Augsburg in Germany, but Javi Hernandez will be staying for the time being, and that isn't snowflakes in my hair, that's just grey hair.
Right, look at Becky Williams. She's at the Vitality Stadium. Any updates from Bournemouth, Becky?
Well, it's been pretty quiet here today. The news of the day has to be Tyrone Mings. He's going out on loan to Aston Villa. There have been a lot of interest in him from the likes of West Brom and Nottingham Forest. He'd not had a lot of game time here, but that news came at lunchtime today. Tyrone Mings out on loan for the rest of the season at Aston Villa.
And in a matching hat, we've got Michelle Owen, who's currently in South Wales at Cardiff. Any news that might warm the fans up a little?
Well, Cardiff have just made the one signing today, Hayley, and trust me, I need this hat in this blizzard. And that was Leandro Bacuna, confirmed at 4:30 this afternoon. He's come down the M4 from Reading. He had his medical, it went well. He signed on the dotted line. A versatile player for Neil Warnock. He can play at fullback. Neil Warnock really wanted a fullback today. He's also a midfielder, but versatile, adds to his squad, and they have got that over the line. But as far as I know from my sources, that is business done for Cardiff City for this window.
Michelle, well done with that. About 5.5 minutes to go. Palace, is it done with Michy Batshuayi? Let's head up to the northeast. It was a bit of a struggle. We watched it as it came into us just a few moments ago. Keith Downey wrestling with the Newcastle United ground staff and got himself that coat and that scarf. What's going on, Keith?
I hope you like it, Jim. I hope you like it. Let me tell you, I think Newcastle are done. They've had an excellent day. They've made the record signing. Miguel Almiron arriving for £21 million, a record that stood for 14 years. The Paraguayan international arrived this morning, completed the deal, met his new teammates, met Rafa Benitez, and here he is, a Newcastle player. He isn't eligible to face Spurs on Saturday, but he's signed and he's taken away that record that stood from Michael Owen way back in 2005. That's the record transfer done for Newcastle. They've also brought in a left-back, Antonio Barreca, on loan until the end of the season with an option to buy. It's been a successful day for Newcastle for players in. Jacob Murphy has left on loan to West Brom, but it's been a busy day. It's been a productive one for Newcastle.
We're getting round them all now to Burnley and Alan Myers.
Yes, just the one deal today. Well, I say one deal, one out, one in. Sam Vokes going to Stoke, and coming in was Peter Crouch, 38-year-old Peter Crouch. One of the bit of news from the northwest, though, is Will Grigg, as Keith Downey was saying before, going off to Sunderland. We're hearing the fee is $3 million, rising to $4 in this area.
Right, and we can take you to Southampton. What, just less than 4 minutes to go, Jane Dougal?
Yeah, well, the weather hasn't improved here, and nor has the prospect of any players coming in. I can tell you that business is now done at Southampton and no player has come in. Now, earlier there had been a possibility of Che Adams coming in. We now know that that is definitely not going to happen, and that's because Birmingham City said that they were adamant they were not going to sell their player. Also, there was a possibility that Charlie Austin was going to leave Southampton, but now we know that that's not going to happen either, despite the fact that 4 different Premier League clubs came in with loan bids. They were all rejected by Southampton, so no movement into the club other than a lot of this cold, wet stuff.
Let's get these wrapped up now. We've still got to get to Watford and Gary Cottrell.
Deadline day, done deal, the double Ds that this day is all about. But Watford's 2 Ds not involved. Deulofeu and Decore linked with big moves to big clubs. They stayed. Ben Wilmot, though, a young defender, has gone out on loan to Udinese. Jerome Sinclair's gone back out on loan to Oxford. A dull day. That's another double D.
OK, look at that. 2 minutes and 52 seconds. And Ben Ransom's in front of a door that says meeting in progress.
I know, I thought I'd bring you inside just to see if there was any chance of any last-minute business. So let's take a look inside the boardroom here at Manchester City just to see whether anything is happening. And I think that scene sums it up. A quiet window for Manchester City. No major incomings on deadline day. It looks like they'll be waiting until the summer to bring in that holding midfielder.
Ben, well done, well done. So Mike Bridge still down at the Palace training ground, and we're still waiting to hear if Batshuayi is over the line. If it is, as you rightly said, Sam, Steve Parish deserves to be commended tonight. Great bit.
Yeah, it was a big pat on the back, and Roy will be very pleased, I think, because he's been looking for somebody to convert all those chances Palace have been making all season, and this could be the guy. And they could certainly pick up many points between now and the end of the season if he stays true to form on his goal-scoring record.
And a sense of relief that he didn't go to a rival then for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, it is a coup. Roy Hodgson has tried 1 or 2, hasn't he? Sorlock clearly didn't work. The big centre forward. Benteke's just coming back, and you still be hoping he can find some kind of form. But Batshuayi, you know, he should be buzzing. He went to Dortmund, didn't he, after Chelsea, and got a lot of goals. He's a good finisher, isn't he, Sam? And you create the chances. You've got Zaha and Townsend just behind. It could be a winning formula.
Quite.
OK, well, we're getting there. Darmish is, I can see him on the blower over there. Kavi Solikol is getting more information down at Stamford Bridge. There are the boys. Tom White and Darmish still working on stories. Mike Bridge is getting information for us now. It's too late to go back down there because where are we now? We're right into the final minute now. Well, I tell you what, if it happens, it's going to be one of the latest ones ever. And as you said to Alan a minute ago, they don't use fax machines anymore, Sam, do they?
Nobody knows what a fax machine is now. I think you've just got to get the email in, haven't you? Then you get a few, or a couple of hours after. As long as you've presented the transfer, I think you're OK for a little bit after the deadline to get it finalised.
Okie dokie, Johnny Otto in at Wolves, 18 million. Dennis Suarez in at Arsenal. Fellaini's off to China. Ashley did give money to Rafa for Miguel Almiron. Tillemans is at Leicester. Crouch is a Burnley player. Nordveit made it to Fulham. Batshuayi, we think, is going to become a Palace player in the next few minutes. And somehow, not one of our reporters is suffering from hypothermia tonight. The January window is closed. There we go. I always think at a time like this, maybe the next window will have a live studio audience. Come on, everyone. There you go. If you can see all the, I don't know, the man in the Steadicam, I mean, look at them over there. They're the stars of the show there. All the guys, all the technical people doing things that Sam and I marvel at. We don't have a clue what they do.
They don't know what you do, Jim.
Sam, the window is closed. A lot of late business, but it all got pretty exciting towards the end there. I'm just trying to get my head around this and ask you a generic one. Who did best? Who did some standout business for you? Is there one club that did a fair bit of standout business late on? It will be Palace if they get Batshuayi over the line.
Yes, I think it'll be Palace because of his pedigree and the fact that they're filling the position they're very short on this year, which is goals, like you mean. So if they pull that one off, then who knows from the lads from abroad how well they'll do straight away. I mean, this is a big ask. I've experienced this before in my position. You keep your fingers crossed when you bring players in from abroad in January and hope the ground running. And I've certainly been, or had some good fortune in my time because most of the players that I've done that with have hit the ground running and helped get the club out of trouble with the clubs I've been at recently. So that's a big ask. And of course, when you put a player in January who comes from abroad, the fans expect the player to be a success almost immediately. And if he isn't, he's a waste of money straight away. And that is a big ask from you as a manager and for that player having really no time to settle or get used to the environment or the culture he's living in. So it is a massive ask and a big risk. The other side of it is if you're signing a player tonight, it's no medical. You take your chance. You pay your money, you take your chance.
It's too late for the medical.
Too late for the medical. You just have to take your chance and sign him up, and that's it.
They'd have had to have done a little bit of homework, though.
Well, they'll do some homework and ask for medical records, and the doctor would oversee it and look at it. If you'd have had enough time today, you'd have flown some medical staff sometimes into the country where you wanted to.
Good point, Sam.
So, but at this late stage, you're saying, let's go. Shall we sign him? Yeah, let's have a go.
I mean, Newcastle will be hopeful, won't they, having broken the transfer record? And the lad coming in from the MLS, Almiron, huge gulf in class between the two leagues, but is he that little number 10 who can create a spark, get the fans off the seats? Is he the type of character that St James's Park has been craving? I mean, it's a punt, isn't it, at 20 million? It sounds ridiculous, but it is a gamble, even at that kind of price.
But it's significant, the very fact that Ashley gave Rafa money. Yeah,
I mean, it's quite a timely one as well, with Rafa talking about walking away in the summer and all the rest of it. And now you could argue it's hard for Benitez to go because he's been given that money on a player that presumably he wants. Now, what can he do with that player?
Well, I think maybe, and this is just me, maybe. We've seen Mike saying openly that he wants to sell the club, and buying these players for Rafa saves Newcastle in the Premier League this year, and finally somebody comes along and says, I will give you the money you want for Newcastle United. So everybody wins all round, both Mike, Rafa and the Newcastle fans, because obviously they've been very volatile towards Mike for a few seasons now, but he's always said he'd stump the money up on what the club earns, you know, but that doesn't seem to be enough. But this time round, maybe for everybody, keeps them in the Premier League, somebody comes along and buys it.
Okay.
Sure thing.
The window is shut, but Dharmesh and Tom can explain why it's not quite over just yet, is it, gents?
Yeah, well, it's gone 11 o'clock, so it's all over, right? Wrong, Dharmesh.
Yep, Tom, don't be going anywhere. Let's go for a walk. There's every expectation some deals will be announced in the next couple of hours. Clubs are given that time to file all their paperwork, provided they have completed what's called a deal sheet. It's going to animate up there any second now, and that's between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock this evening. Calls are in with the Premier League. Texts are in with the Premier League, but they are very, very busy, I'm told, at the moment. And as yet, they cannot tell me how many deal sheets have been handed in or given in between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock this evening. But it is thought one of those deal sheets could be Michy Batshuayi, Crystal Palace, Chelsea to Crystal Palace on loan. It could be one of the deal sheets that have gone through between 9 and 11, because as yet there's been no official announcement of that deal happening, although the terms have been agreed between Michy Batshuayi and Crystal Palace.
So that's the actual sheet, the deal sheet.
Correct.
How does it work?
Right, this is how it works. The deal sheet allows a club to confirm that a deal has been reached in order to allow for additional time to submit the remaining documentation. Now, the deal sheet has to contain the full financial details of the deal, and the form, it has to be signed by both the selling club and the buying club and dated with a time. So it's much more than just a verbal agreement. What's more, the player has to sign the document as well. Only when all this is done can an extension be granted to complete all of that paperwork. Now, those extensions vary whether it's a domestic transfer or an international transfer. If it's a domestic transfer, they've got until 1 o'clock in the morning to complete that formal paperwork. That's just less than 2 hours from now. If, though, it's an international transfer, they have until midnight. So do not go anywhere, because there's every chance a few deals can still be announced between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning.
Fascinating. Thanks, Dharmesh.
Well, was there a very late deal done at Everton? Is Idrissa Gueye still an Everton player, or with that late bid that came in, of course, from Paris Saint-Germain, accepted by Everton? Well, we can head to Fraser Dainton to find out.
Well, as far as I am aware, Idrissa Gueye is still an Everton player. I haven't had any information to contradict that at all in the last half an hour or so. You'll remember that with less than 2 hours to go, Paris Saint-Germain came back to the table with an increased bid of €30 million for the player. That's up from £21.5 million to £25.5 million. It was immediately knocked straight back by Everton, who have been saying consistently all the way through that the player would not be for sale. And I understand that at that point, PSG walked away from the negotiating table. They were done, dusted, no dice. They weren't going to go any further than that £30 million. The player himself, we understand, is very unhappy. He saw this as what he considered to be his dream move, and we understand that he also mentioned to the club that he did want to move, but Everton have dug their heels in, and as far as we're aware at this stage, there's been no further movement from either side, and at this stage, as we understand it, Idrissa Gueye is still very much an Everton player.
Don't know. Right, OK, we're still going to get to Crystal Palace, but before we get there, we know there's Michael Bridge. We'll like a bit of interaction between the reporter and some of the players, and it's gone on social media. Michael Bridge, when he found out that there could be a deal for Michy Batshuayi, he said, oh, there you go. He said, in capitals, don't go to bed, Crystal Palace fans, OK? Patrick Van Aanholt, there's some history between Patrick Van Aanholt and Bridgie on deadline day, isn't there? Splashgate, as it's called. Well, Patrick Van Aanholt said, I'm just driving to the training ground so I can come and say hi. That will strike Michael Bridge with fear, especially in this cold, and that's what Bridgie says back. He says, no, you stay in the warm. So, Michael Bridge, let's go live to him now and explain what was going on there.
Yes. Firstly, before I explain it, I've just received a text from Crystal Palace. The deal sheet is in. Good news for Crystal Palace. The deal sheet is in. Not done. Remember what Dharmesh just said, but it's getting there. The deal sheet is in. I can confirm that, Crystal Palace supporters. Batman returns. It could be happening. Now, Patrick Van Aanholt, last summer, I wasn't going to mention it, he splashed me, went up my leg, and now he's just threatening to come back and throw snowballs at me. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Patrick. You stay at home. But as I've reiterated, the deal sheet is in. Now, Kaveh Solokol has more on Batshuayi and his career at Chelsea. But from here, Crystal Palace, I'm not going anywhere. The deal sheet is in.
Yes, thanks for that, Mike. It's got so cold here tonight that for the first time today I've actually put my collar up to try and stay warm. But enough about me. Let's talk about Michy Batshuayi. Chelsea today, what they wanted to do is find a new club for him. He'd been on loan at Valencia. That hadn't worked out. Valencia didn't want to keep him. So Chelsea really needed to do a deal for him today. In the morning, they'd agreed deals in principle with West Ham United and Real Betis. I don't think he really wanted to go to Real Betis. And also West Ham United were a bit scared off off by the wages that his representatives were asking for, £160,000 a week, apparently. Then at lunchtime, we got word that his representatives were trying to get him a move to Spurs. But for so many reasons, lots of politics involved. Chelsea do not like doing deals with Spurs. Spurs also, the feeling is mutual. So we told you that was very, very unlikely to happen. Then it went quiet this evening for a few hours till we got a phone call from somebody very, very close to the negotiations who told us Crystal Palace, terms agreed. Crystal Palace, terms agreed. And from what Michael Bridge has just told you, that information was spot on. That is what is going to happen. Chelsea have managed to find a club for Michy Batshuayi. That is Crystal Palace. Just a couple of other things to tell you about what's been happening at Chelsea today. Willian, PSG were interested in signing him. There is no way Chelsea were going to sell him. He is not for sale. That was the message from Chelsea. What about Danny Drinkwater? He hasn't been playing. He hasn't played since the Community Shield. We were told that they weren't able to find a club for him. He's staying at the club. What about Gary Cahill, the club captain who's had so much success here? He had an offer from Fulham. He didn't want to go there. We also found out that he's turned down moves to Monaco and also Juventus this month. So he is staying as well. What about David Zappacosta? He has been in talks about a move to Lazio. At the end of the day, Lazio weren't willing to come up with the £15 million asking price, so he is staying as well. Overall, Chelsea happy with the window. Cesc Fabregas has gone, Alvaro Morata has gone. They've got in Gonzalo Higuain. Christian Pulisic is coming in the summer, and they've managed to find a club for Michy Batshuayi. That is Crystal Palace.
Remember, I told you the deal sheets have to be in between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. I have been told that there are now 2 deal sheets in with the Premier League. As Michael Bridge, my colleague, told you just now, one of them, we believe, is Michy Batshuayi for that move from Chelsea to Crystal Palace. We are investigating what that other one is, but they do now have less than 2 hours to complete that paperwork to get those 2 deals over the line. Michy Batshuayi from Chelsea to Crystal Palace, plus one more. Do not go anywhere.
That's very interesting. Wonder who the other sheet is involving. OK, Sam is with me, so too is Alan Smith, so too is Haley. And when we come back, we'll get the definitive on that man, Michy Batshuayi. I tell you what, we're terrified to go back down to the Palace training ground. There's a feeling here that Mike Bridge is about to burst into tears.